Welcome, and for today's Science 101, I will be teaching you the importance of animals and the biodiversity at risk. Now, before I proceed to today's discussion, let me just introduce myself briefly. Hello and welcome. My name is Izumi, and I'm a first year physical therapy student. And this time I will explain about animals and biodiversity. Today, two important questions will be answered. The first question is why are animals important? And the second question would be why should we care about the biodiversity? Now, animals play a vital role in the lives of humans. So, with this topic, I will be discussing first the importance of animals, and on the following slides, we will know how these creatures are significant and are considered essential to us human beings. On this clip, what can you see or observe? If you think or if you answered this is a farm, you are indeed right. And this has something to do with as to the significance of animals to us humans. In relation to the previous clip, did you know that animals are significant to us humans, especially because it serves as our source of food? And humans are considered consumers that depend on other organisms for food and nutrition. We all know that we cannot live without food since it is one of our basic needs in order to survive, and we depend on other organisms for food and nutrition. Some of the foods that we eat comes from animals such as products like the beef, lamb, pork, fish, and chicken. And also products made from these animals like the milk from cows, eggs from the chickens, and honeys from the bee. And aside from fruit and vegetables, animals are also a great source of nutrients. And these nutrients include the protein, the iodine, calcium, vitamin B12, and vitamin D. And for your information, protein is an essential nutrient to our body as it serves as our energy source. Iodine is a nutrient that ensures the health and function of our thyroid, calcium for the bones, vitamin B12 to keep our blood and nerve cells healthy, and lastly, vitamin D, along with calcium, they work together to keep your bones, teeth, and muscles healthy. Second is that animals are essential to humans because it helps us when it comes to businesses or the entrepreneurship and livelihood or our ways of living. Animal industry is a profitable enterprise, which means people could gain income from these enterprises that use animals. And as a result, it creates employment opportunities for more people. So enter this animal industry, they commonly sell meat products like the beef, lamb, pork, fish, and chicken. And there's also a wide range of enterprises that includes the agriculture and farming, the fishing industry, livestock, and meat shop. And these enterprises produces products that are made for the basic commodities of us humans. This includes the canned goods, the eggs, and even the dairy products that we eat every day. And on this slide, you can see the different enterprises that I have mentioned earlier. And within these enterprises, you can see the animals on it. So for the first example, for the agriculture and farming, this is commonly used sa mga rice fields or the palayan. Here in the country, commonly used animals are the carabaos. For the poultry, the chickens, where not only their meat are being harvested but also their eggs, fishing, and the meat shop. And animals are also essential to us in order to achieve ecological balance. Animals are in constant interaction with their environment, and because of that, the feeding relationships and community interactions in the ecosystem create balance in the environment, and these interactions ensure the occurrence of nutrient cycle in nature. And as an example, on our oceans, coral reefs are the habitats for many marine organisms like fishes. They are rich in animal life that is in constant interaction. And when these coral reefs will be destroyed, it will take a lot of years or even thousands of years to rebuild it. When this happens, many aquatic animals will be affected. That is why it is very important that we should not just take care of ourselves, but also the animals and their habitats. And also, animals are used in scientific research. Researchers enable people to build and improve knowledge in different areas of science. And scientists and researchers are guided by the principles of bioethics and using animals for study. So, the sake of animals are also prioritized when it comes to using these creatures in scientific researches. And animals like mice and rats are used to better understand different mechanisms in the field of science. Actually, in the past year, scientists and even researchers use animals to better understand these mechanisms, like the development of human diseases, development of these animals are also used in the development of new medicines and application of surgical procedures. And lastly, animals are considered as our companions. Some animals have been domesticated and have become a companion to us humans. People find joy in taking care of animals, and with it, they feel relaxed. And examples of domesticated animals are the dogs, cats, birds, and even the small ones like hamsters. And they become pets for most people. And for some people, they find relief from everyday stresses when they are around animals and when they play with them. And also, did you know that in some hospitals, animals are trained to assist people who are ill and who have disabilities? How cute is that, right? Now, in relation to knowing the importance of animals, I will also be discussing to you how do our biodiversity becomes at risk. But before that, let us define first what is biodiversity. Biodiversity refers to the number of species and the range of behavioral, ecological, and physiological adaptation in an area. To better understand, biodiversity also describes the variety of life found on Earth, and this includes the organisms and living things that our naked eye could not even see. And did you know that here in the Philippines, it is considered to have a diverse ecosystem and wildlife due to extensive rainforest? However, due to natural and human activities, our biodiversity is at risk. On the following slides, we will know what are the activities that mainly contribute to the damaging done to our biodiversity. So biodiversity loss can have significant impacts not just to us human but also the environment and even the animals. Now the first activity that mainly contributes to biodiversity loss is the destruction of habitat. Wide rainforest areas are being destroyed as humans develop land for agriculture, urban development, and water projects, including dams and hydroelectric power plants. And because of this, animal habitats are lost and they eventually become extinct. And just so you know, extinction refers to the disappearance of animal species or population due to several factors. An example of these factors are also activities such as this one. Now, here in the country, in the Philippines, habitat loss is brought about by activities like this one, mining, just like what you can see on the photo. And also another activity that contributes to biodiversity loss and the destruction of habitat is the kaingin, where forests are burned down to the ground. And when these activities, habitat loss occurs and it devastates a species richness. So just to give you an example, so here in the country, here in the Philippines, some companies or yeah, big companies, they do pagkakaingin, burning down of trees, cutting down of trees for the sake of modernization. And sometimes, and it is known naman that animals like birds and other species, they are dependent in these trees. For example, the birds. So when they're living on the trees and when these trees are being cut down or being burned down, what they don't have any choice but to migrate to other places in order to survive. And it is unfortunate for some because if they could not adapt well to their new environment, they would have a hard time to survive, causing for them to die. And if this could continue, it could endanger this species. And this is also one of the reasons why some of the native animals in the Philippines are becoming endangered. And destruction of habitat is one of the causes of it. And also water and air pollution contributes to the biodiversity being at risk. Known objects, the end materials that contain pollutants are the pesticides, aerosol spray, phosphates, and even the laptop batteries. And pollution is the introduction of harmful substances to the environment. What it does is that it brings contaminants or pollutants in air, soil, and bodies of water. In effect, acid rain could occur. So acid rain changes the acidity level of the bodies of water. So when the acid rain kasi continuously happens, the change in acidity level would affect the ability of the fishes in our sea or the bodies of water to reproduce and grow. Another effect of water and air pollution is the oil spill. So it prevents marine life from getting enough sunlight and oxygen. And this could cause what we know as fish kill, wherein a lot of species of fishes and other marine organisms are dead. Are they become dead. Another activity that contributes to biodiversity being at risk is the wildlife poaching and illegal trade. What we mean by illegal trade is that it's one of the biggest threat to endangered animal species. And in relation to that, wildlife poaching is what we call to those who does illegal hunting, killing, or capturing of wild animals. And these two activities also have something to do why not just our environment is at risk of adverse effects or adverse damages, but also to the animals living on their respective habitats. And for example, this one, and you can see on the photo, these are the tusks of elephants. So elephants are being killed for their ivory tusks. So ivory is a very expensive material. So some illegal poachers, they kill these animals, the elephants, just for the sake of harvesting their tusk, and they sell these tusks for a very expensive price, and sometimes it is illegal. This is illegal in some countries, but also here in the Philippines. And another example is that tigers are killed for their skin and bones, and these are very unfortunate. Not only elephants or tigers are one of the victims of illegal trade and wildlife poaching, when in fact here in the country there are also a lot of animals, even reptiles, that are victims of these activities. And lastly, for the pests and diseases, so these two factors play a role of the biodiversity being at risk. Just like us humans, animals are also affected by pests that transmit diseases. Pests and diseases, they also affect crops, the humans and other organisms, threatening food security and biodiversity loss. Animals are affected by pests that transmit diseases, and these kills animals. So what happens is kasi pests, they would compete with other organisms like animals for food and habitat, and some pests, they would even like eat the eggs and youngs of the animals and attack the adult ones. With this with these activities or factors that contributes to the that contributes to the biodiversity being at risk, I just want to leave you this question. How would, and also to conclude today's discussion, I would like to leave you this question. As a student or a child that is a part of a community, how would you protect the animals in the biodiversity? And also, may this quote leave an impact to you in relation to our discussion. According to Theodore Roosevelt, to waste, to destroy our natural resources, to skin and exhaust the land instead of using it so as to increase its usefulness, will result in undermining in the days of our children the very prosperity which we ought by right to hand down to them, the amplified and developed. And if you want to know more about this topic, you can check out the reference I've used for this one. So it is a textbook title with the title Science for Active Learning 6 by the SIBS Publishing House. And that's all. Thank you for listening. And again, this is IC May for today's Science 101.